How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. Happy Thursday.
Yeah, you as well. So I can just kind of jump around and focus more on things that I hadn't really seen you be asked about.
Okay, sure.
And I know that your first voiceover job was doing Prentice Hall textbooks,
That's right.
but what's a short film called Three Card Stud from like 20 years ago?
That was one of the first films I did when I was in college. It was
Okay.
a little indie short film called Three Card Stud. And I played this girl. I just remember she talked really fast and she talked to camera. It was like shot from below, and she was like, so the thing about something is that you could really, I just talk really fast and maybe I don't know much more about the character than that, but that's pretty much it.
Generally, too, was it your goal to pursue acting overall, or was it voiceover in particular?
Um, it started off as it kind of was both because I was kind of hip to the fact that VO was the thing a little earlier on than I think most people of my time. Now it's very popular, but I did want to do both. I wanted to do it all. I wanted to do stand-up comedy. I wanted to do in television. I wanted to work more on camera. Um, to a certain extent, I've been able to do all those things. To what degree of success is negotiable.
So when you did get to LA, what was the first any kind of job that got you into SAG?
Actually, doing background work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was doing background work, being an extra on a ton of different movies, like and some stand-in work. I'm trying to think. There was such a long time ago. Fat Albert was one of the movies.
Oh, yeah.
There was a movie with Jennifer Lopez, and then I was a stand-in on shows like American Dreams and the movie Lemony Snicket's,
Yeah.
mainly working for kids and teens because I'm pretty petite. I'm 5'2", so I could stand in for kids. So I did that for maybe a year or two, and eventually was able to get my SAG card that way.
I was just about to say it. I thought it was really interesting because I know you got to be a PA on a really dark movie, Don't Come Knocking.
Yeah, I think I just worked one day in the office.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do have a PA credit on that, but I didn't spend a lot of time working on that show, that movie.
Revelations.
Revelations, I was a stand-in.
Okay.
And that was really fun because I did get to act in scenes with Bill Pullman because I was standing in for the child lead. And kids are only allowed to work a certain number of hours on set, so then they have to pull them out. So once they get the kid shot, the kid goes, and it was like a lot of late nights, but basically like being Bill Pullman's eye line, which is amazing because he's an amazing actor. And then he's just like, you're like acting the scene, like even reading the lines and everything. So that was a very cool experience. It's times like that when you're like, I'm so close to Hollywood, yet so far away.
And then in terms of voiceover, would one of your first roles, of course, be the Prince of Persia game?
Yeah, that was my first job out here in Hollywood. It was great. I mean, I worked with Keith Aram at PCB. I think that was the only time I've ever worked with him. Unfortunately, I would love to work with them again. And his studio is in his house, and it's just a very impressive space to walk into, especially as a newbie in the business. But I'm much more humble now than I was then. I think I felt like I was, if you're going to be doing voice acting and you want to be an actor, you have to really believe that you can do it in your heart of hearts, whether or not, not just on the day by day, but on sort of a soul level. So I just felt like I could do it. And I think it went really well. And it was a good experience. But yeah, it's not like that was like the turning point in my career. I feel like it was just sort of the first stepping stone to working more in games and animation.
Okay. And I know with the getting the like breakthrough role with the Mr. Men show, was that daunting at all for you to switch between three different characters initially?
I spent a lot of time really, I mean, I auditioned for like every role, and I think I submitted multiple takes on the character for each role. I was working with a voice coach named Dolores Deal, who's since passed away, and she's so great. So I was very like textbook working on my characters and thinking about vocal placement and what type of mouth thing could I do with them. And, so they were all very distinct.
Hmm.
Miss Sunshine is high register. Miss Whoops is mid register. Naughty's lower register. Sunshine's a little very bright. I'm little Miss Sunshine. At least that's what everybody tells me. So she's like in the head voice, and Miss Whoops is very like, don't worry, Mr. Bump. I just can't help myself. So she's more monotone and nasal. And then Naughty has this crazy accent and she just is right down here. So they were three very different roles. And I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges when you're on a show, is to create different sounding characters. And that was a challenge on Yokai Watch for sure, because we voiced like 30 to 50 different roles on there. But that one, I felt like they were pretty well separated. I mean, of course, getting to play in that room was exciting, but also intimidating. But yeah, you just kind of roll with it and pretend to like fake it that you know what you're doing, and hopefully you get some laughs, and that encourages you to keep going on.
Hmm. And on the topic of Yokai Watch, did you take the dubbing easier considering your experience already, or was it difficult to get used to?
So by that point, I had done the Poppycat series, which was dubbed British from
Yeah.
British, and I think I'd done more dubbing, but I don't recall. I don't remember what my first dubbing job was, to be honest. It's
Would
been
it
a while.
would it be the Star Ocean game?
That I think that was after, maybe. Yeah, I feel like I even when I got to Poppycat, like I knew how to dub, but Poppycat is a preschool show, so it's slow moving, and there's only one person speaking at the same time, whereas Yokai had a lot of more technical challenges of following the line and following the character, and multiple people talking at the same time, and music beds and stuff. So it was definitely more challenging. But the biggest challenge with that show was just vocal separation. Like, Japanyan is like here, but then like Komajiro is also a boy, and he's just more, a little more forward. And like, so it was like trying to, and then we wouldn't get the script in advance or anything. So we'd just be making it up on the fly.
Mhm.
That improv training came in handy, but it was also really fun because when you're moving really fast like that, you're just fully focused in the moment. You don't have time to like space out.
Mhm. And it's always something that I like to ask of voice actresses that do a good amount of boy voices is, do you have a particular process for that, or does it just depend on what the character is?
You know, I think I worked on it a little bit. A lot of voice actor training has you kind of carve out your characters that are like your go-to kind of stable
Yeah.
voices, your placements. So I know like my boys are going to be kind of lower pitched, but not too low, and they're going to usually they have some kind of like, if he's really smart, they like their mouth moves fast, but their brain doesn't keep up. And then maybe you're adding in some texture, like Josh is like, hey, you babies, so he's got more texture and more push because he's kind of a bully. Whereas like, like what I was just saying, Komajiro, he's kind of, in the beginning, he's a little bit sweeter. And then of course, when he becomes DJ KJ, he
Mhm.
kind of roughs up a little bit, gets cooler, hipper. So, I mean, there was a lot of work in like developing that sound. And in the beginning, I would have a tape recorder and I would listen back, be like, did that sound right? Did that sound right? And that's a really good strategy to make sure you're also having the consistency, because your voice kind of always wants to go back to its natural
Mhm.
placement. So you got to be very careful with memorizing kind of how it feels so that you don't actually, you don't gravitate back towards your natural speaking voice.
And just generally related to that, what is the case where you've had to alter your voice the most for any kind of role so far?
I mean, there's the thing with voice actors is fortunately we get to work a lot. So we don't, you don't always, there's just been so many different jobs where I've heard it back and I'm like, is that me? And that's a really cool experience to hear something back and be like, wow, I sound way different. I mean, definitely like Josh is one of them. I'm working on a character now, but I can't talk about it. That I think is probably fits the bill of that the most. I like Dave Dead Time. Da, da, da. She's pretty different from my natural speaking voice. I'm trying to think if there's any. I'm working on a show right now called The Vampire Dies in No Time on Funimation, and I play Hinaichi, and she's up here. Oh yeah, she's like, I am Hinaichi from the Prefectural Police Division. So that's like, I hear that and I'm like, oh wow, that sounds like a totally different person. It's pretty cool, actually. Lots of personalities in there.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up anyway. It was cool to see you be a part of that show because I was already familiar with it before it got dubbed.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
That people seem to be liking the dub because comedy, you kind of,
right.
You don't want to take the time to read it. You need to just hear it. So, yeah, that's been really fun. It had been a while since I'd done anime, and then I started auditioning for some stuff for Funimation, and recently did Remain.
Yep.
At playing the mom of Robbie Damon, which is just so funny because Robbie and I are like the same age. I'm playing his mom, but she's very, sweet, and a lot of my characters tend to be more altos. So to be Hinaichi has all this energy, and she's just very much up here. She's not like a Robin, more like Zaza Splash. Like Robin is even higher. Robin's for Space Racers is more like 12, 13. So Hinaichi sounds young, like she's probably, like 20. But yeah, so I think it surprises you sometimes when you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, wow, sounds like a different person.
And on the complete opposite side of more lighter roles, what is the darkest emotional headspace you've had to get into for a character, if there is one so far?
Well, I mean, I loved playing for Outer Worlds, the DLC. So I played Minnie, and she has this major storyline in the DLC where she's not the playable character, but you have to interact with her, and it's a very dark story, and I had to go deep, and it was like she's manipulative, but she's also kind of sexy, and she's also kind of, it depending upon how you play her, some variety of different choices that determine the end outcome. And it was just really awesome, to be able to take a character on that kind of storyline through so many different outcomes. That was one of my favorite characters. Because it was a DLC, I feel like it didn't get as much love as the main game, but that was definitely an awesome role for me. There's some playthrough on YouTube where you can check it out, and I was able to track some of the playthrough, and I'm like, this is great, really good.
Well, it is funny. Of course, one big popular game role of yours that you really wouldn't expect to necessarily be voiced by you is Death in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, Death's my girl. Yeah, well, it's funny because in animation, we have so many different crazy, bigger characters. But in video games, it's very much, there's like certain archetypes, and they're much more common. We see the femme fatale. Minnie's kind of like more of a femme fatale. That's something I do. But the evil queen kind of archetype, which Death is, the empress and stuff like that, I love those roles. And I guess, yeah, because my personality is very enthusiastic and very positive. But to be able to dig into a role like that is actually an excellent fit for my vocal range. And it's like putting on an old glove. Like, it just really fits.
Mhm. And who do you?
I booked those roles even more than I think than the Miss Sunshine types for some
Oh,
reason.
yeah. And who do you think that you personally relate to the most with who you played so far?
That's like asking me to pick my favorite child. Um, I mean, a lot of them for a lot of different reasons. Both Josh is like it's like roots me in my Massachusetts friends and like that attitude and like growing up. He kind of reminds me of like how I think my dad would be.
Oh,
Like, kind of, my dad can be a little bit of a I mean, yeah, you know,
yeah.
he's like a Boston guy. And so um Josh is a very, very fun one. Miss Sunshine, I love what a lot of people tell me that she's their comfort character. And so that makes me so happy that she's able to bring people joy and comfort. Because that is my mission in life, to bring
Mhm.
people joy and uplift through creativity. Um, so yeah, but there's a couple new roles that are going to be coming out in 2022 that I'm very excited about. So you're going to meet some brand new characters, and they might even be my favorite so far. Jibanyan, so many people love him, so that makes me super happy. It's really fun to jump on TikTok and like
Mhm.
just create some weird random videos that I know only certain people will get, but the ones that get it are really going to love it. And then Alma the bunny from Poppy Cat. A lot of people, because it's a preschool show, it's mainly watched by children and parents. But oh, Poppy Cat, I just love my blue pearls. She was so sweet, and she was just kind of a little teen, like a little kid diva, like just very. So I don't know how if I was like that as a kid or not. You'll have to ask my mom, but
Okay.
she liked everything. She just loves her girly things. And oh, Poppy Cat. She always wants to be the center of attention. So yeah, I guess that probably was like me as a kid.
Yeah.
But I was also shy at times. So yeah, and working on Space Racers, like being in those ensemble records with Yuri Lowenthal and Meyer DeLue, and the three of us being like having this camaraderie for 2 seasons. We recorded every episode together, and
Mhm.
that was so cool. And so Robin, like just kind of a brainy, 12, 13-year-old girl, is like, I have a lot of affinity for her too, because I know that a lot of young girls will look up to a smart, science-minded girl and be like, she's the only rational one on this show.
Yeah.
Uh,
Are you pretty close with people, like certain people that mostly do anime in comparison to original animation?
Um, well, I feel like I've been out of the anime game for a few years, maybe
Okay.
5 years between Yokai Watch and now. But like I with Christina V and Griffin Burns and
Yeah.
some of the people that I've had on my show that are really prolific in anime just have such great things to say. And I always loved doing anime. I mean, when I was growing up, you had to get anime on VHS, like bootleg VHS or whatever. Now it's like everywhere. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm even gonna watch The Vampire Dies in no time with my son, who, by the way, I have a heart out for that, but I'm gonna pick him up. We're gonna watch it today.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, not right now, but tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think it's like it's pretty universal. People are resonating with it. And there's so many different styles because people think anime is just like, they think it's kind of going to be an action adventure Japanese show, but
Right.
now it's like we see Remain is sports anime, which is a brand new genre, and it's kind of more of a drama. There's like a lot of drama elements. So it's cool to be a part of that and see how it's all going. Do you have a favorite show?
A favorite one that you would know is Sailor Moon.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So cool.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask. Is there much of a memory about being in Vandal Hearts?
I remember Matt Mercer got me that job.
Oh, well,
And I was able to find one of the clips online, and I threw it on my game demo. But yeah, I remember Matt Mercer was working on that project, and we met through a mutual friend, a guy named Tom Menino, who went to college with, and so he got me that job. And yeah, pretty awesome. It's great to see what they've developed and how everything's been going with Critical Role. It's so cool to see.
have you gotten the opportunity to do ADR for a good number of major film and television series?
I was able to do ADR for Toy Story 4,
Yeah.
and I played the voice of the GPS, turn left. So that was really cool. And some of the other little toys. I was on Emoji Movie
Hmm.
as the firewall, among other characters. That was really fun. And yeah, I did like Patriots Day. Was it Patriots Day? What
I
was the
think
movie
that's,
that took place
yeah,
in Boston?
yeah.
So I've done a handful of dubbing and ADR, I'm sorry. And it's always been very fun. I've also been able to like come in for one-off voice matches on a handful of projects, but a lot of that I was for trailers too. I
Yeah.
voice matched Wednesday Addams.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of things. And yeah, it's fun. I enjoy doing it. I would say especially the animated movies.
Hmm.
That's what I like doing.
And just because of I couldn't like find much info about it, I get, but the credit was really funny. Something called "Let's Ruin It with Babies."
Oh yeah, my friend Kestrin's movie. It's an indie film that came out. I think I forget where it premiered, but it was kind of based on her life of going through the mental decision of choosing to have kids as a creative
Oh,
woman and having a really good life and it being in a solid relationship. And then the idea was like, let's ruin it with babies. Just actually a very funny title. And it was a very good film. So yeah, I'm sure you can stream it.
okay.
It's worth watching. Yeah. We'll
Mhm.
see what the next year brings. I mean, I've been really excited about the podcast,
Yeah.
which I don't know if you have questions about that, but we're doing a complete rebrand. I selected my logo. Would you like to see it?
Yeah.
You can be the first. Here is our new logo.
Yeah. That's pretty.
Yeah. So hopefully it's not too, hopefully it's also like manly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully it makes you want to watch it. I mean, I am kind of girly, I guess. So in some ways, and in other ways, totally not. So, but yeah, I'm working on doing a build out of like designing a really cool sign that's going to be our set and backdrop, and working on getting a list together for the new guests. And
Mhm.
it's going to be a little bit different, and we're going to be recording in the studio, so it won't be live streamed, but there will be an element where it goes on YouTube and then it's streamed through there, so we can all still go hang out, because community is something that's really important to me, and we've built such a fun community, and it's so great to see a lot of the same faces every week. So I want to continue that, so it'll just be on a different platform.
Okay.
But Instagram is really not where you go for long form video content.
All right.
I don't think, we're so lucky that we have, a dedicated group of people that do tune in every week. But the reality is it's just hopefully we'll reach more of the audience that doesn't already know about it on YouTube. So that's the plan.
All right. Yeah. I mean, before this, before I even contacted you, I watched several of the episodes that you had up there
On Instagram or on YouTube?
on Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because the show originally, do you ever watch the show?
Yeah.
So it started in 2009.
Yeah. I saw you mention that.
So if you go way back, nothing's there yet except for some really old vintage clips where I interviewed Craig Bartlett,
Okay.
Keith Ferguson, voice actor Keith Ferguson, a writer Kent Osborne, and the writer Earl Kress, who's since passed away. So, but he was such a good sport. So it was kind of created as a web series. So now it's all coming full circle, but I have more resources to be able to be consistent with it.
Right. And who's been, in terms of since you've been doing it on Instagram, do you have a favorite guest that you've talked to?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I recently interviewed Christy Reed and I just loved her energy. And you know, it's always fun because it seems even like the people that I don't know going into the interview sometimes are the ones that I can go the deepest with.
Right.
Whereas if I know someone, sometimes we get chatty. So, but that's fun too. It's different. I really like when we can deep dive and get in there with the juicy bits of both the industry and their personal lives and what makes them tick and what has made them successful. And, you know, any interesting stories that they're put on this earth to tell.
Yeah, it was fun. I watched a good majority of the one that you did with Max Middleton. That was fun.
Oh yeah. So I do know Max. So I wonder, were we just chatting a lot?
Yeah.
Max is awesome. He's been doing so well. So I'm so happy for him. And Robbie, we did Robbie Damon, and that was a fun one.
Yeah.
Robbie's having a few drinks. Melissa Hutchinson, I did it a while ago, and Melissa and I had to drink scotch. It was like so funny and fun. So yeah, I mean, I've just been so lucky and blessed to sit down with so many great people. And Carlos Alizaraki, I think it's going to be so much better when we can be in person and really, you know, really get into the good stuff and jiving off each other's energy, you know? Yeah.
And just some other last credits I wanted to ask that I hadn't really seen you talk about. What was was it a voiceover thing that you did for Man with the Plan?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was a really, really fun role because I got to go to set and I spent a couple days there basically acting in the scene. I played her baby. That's me. And it was one of those auditions where like I somehow like misread the deadline or something. And it was like I opened it up, I was like, oh my God, this is due right now. Or it's due in like 10 minutes. And my computer, my home studio was rebooting.
Oh.
And I was like, I have to do this on my iPhone. I was like, I could totally do this. I did it and I didn't think anything about it. And then I booked it and I was like, yeah, because there's nothing more exciting than being on set. And, you know, it's this amazing cast and it was such a fun character. And so they had me even come to the live taping and I got to be with my microphone off screen acting with the whole crew and cast. So it was an amazing experience. More coming to set, please, universe. Thank you.
And okay, yeah. So is there anything else upcoming in terms of voiceover roles that you can talk about, or is it mostly all?
Not that I can talk about, but early 2022, I'm gonna be talking about it a lot because I'm really excited. Oh, the other thing is I had a guest star role on another anime called Heike Story, and I played Gia, who's well, she's a geisha, so you have to watch and see. She's got an interesting story about how it all ends up, but that is a historical drama on Funimation.com, so that one is worth checking out too. Very different tone, and the animation is just so beautiful.
And so, yeah, my final question is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, I mean, my general mission in life is to uplift and inspire people through creative play, especially people who feel like they don't fit in. Because when I was growing up, I didn't always feel like I fit in because I stayed back in the second grade. I had I had ADD. And after I stayed back, it was just really hard for me to feel like I fit in. So I relate to the misfits and the artists of the world. And I just want people to know that you can make whatever you want out of your life. You don't have to follow the traditional plan. You don't have to go get a corporate job and work 9 to 5 and have a family. You can create whatever you want. And I feel really lucky that I've been able to create what I have in my life. And I said this on another podcast, and someone reached out to me and said it really resonated with them. So I'm going to say it again. Abundance is not what you have, but it's how much you enjoy what you have. And so we can all look at a place of lack at our lives, or, look back to think about where we want to be, and, oh, I want this or I want that. And that's one version of the truth. But if we can really take inventory or look in the rearview mirror at where we used to be and realize that the greatest, where we wished we were 5 years ago, we're actually there now. So I think gratitude is a key part of that. So these are some ideas that I want to spread as I continue to hopefully entertain and uplift and share and grow in my own spirituality, my own consciousness, to evolve to be a better human. Isn't that why we're here, right? To help each other heal.
Yeah, that is something that just since I've been doing interviews that I wouldn't have expected to hear anything. You've probably seen in your live Instagram interviews that there's a kid named Sebastian Ochoa, and he takes a lot of inspiration from what I'm doing to try and interview other voice actors, and since he has autism too, like that's not something that I would have expected to ever hear from anybody. I've only been doing this for a little over a year, so that was really inspiring for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thanks. I'm glad that we got to do this.
You're welcome, Chris. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.